mixed up part about this data set is that it's really yours, right? This is all coming from fire agencies across the state, Department of Defense accepted. So we've been able to look at this as, I'm going to kind of give you a run through in ways that I've been trying to synthesize it and look at trends. And also, like Elizabeth said, I think this is pretty much just going to be confirming things that people that are familiar with fire in the state already know. But it's really a powerful way to kind of approach other people about what the scope and scale of the problem is. So this is sort of the history. If you look at total area burned over time, you know, and it kind of looks like, man, we're running off a cliff here. But if you get into the data a little bit more carefully, you can see that it's actually possibly a function of that we're getting better reporting further into the 2000s. So this is kind of going by agency. And again, I apologize if some of the shields up there aren't up to date. But you can see, so we've got really, it's kind of a long-term record from the National Park, and DOFA goes back pretty far, but then county fire is really only going back in the 2000s. So a little bit difficult to look at temporal trends, but if you just take the DOFA records and HWMO records and just kind of look at the number of fires, and just looking at the bigger fires, which tend to account for more of our area burn, over the last, say, 40, 50 years, you see that there's this pretty obvious increase in the number of these larger fires over 100 acres. And so you can do pretty simple statistical regression on that. It's kind of showing this exponential increase in the number of these larger fires that are happening. But really to try to characterize what we're looking at now, a lot of the stuff I've been looking at sort of focuses on that peak, right? So in the 2000s, really, sort of the last 10 years. And as it stands now, I think that we've got records going to 2012 and 2013, but I think they're only really complete up to 2011. So when I say like the past decade, I'm looking at 2002 to 2011 here. And what we're looking at is an average, yearly average of over 1,000 ignitions per year and over 17,000 acres burned per year. I think folks, especially coming from the mainland, would probably look at 17,000 acres and say, ah, well, it's not that much. But I mean, if you start thinking about, I have a couple slides of this, as a proportion of our total land area, it's actually a pretty significant amount. It's about 10% of the production agriculture land, or just under 10% of like the remnant music and dry native forest that's left in the state. So more data here. So this is looking at all total emissions and total area burned. So the light gray bar is emissions. That's kind of counting the top. The dark gray, so it's basically showing that we've got issues across the state. You can kind of start breaking down these patterns by island, and it gets pretty interesting. You can see kind of Oahu's off the charts as far as emissions. So definitely people factor happening there. And then, of course, because we all know their largest fires are happening on Hawaii Island. But, you know, if you think about the size of Lanai and Molokai, for example, there are issues there as well. I mean, some of the area burn is pretty out of proportion for the size of some of these places. You can also look at these trends across land cover. So we've got some cool products out there that USGS and we're working with. We're just classify land cover types, so different areas of development and different vegetation types. So if you just look at the bulk of our emissions, so again, those light gray bars, and then the area burned in the dark gray bars, you can see all of our emissions are in developed areas, right? The vast majority of them. So again, this is kind of linking this to people. Whereas, and of course, those familiar with the fire issues here, all of our big area burnt is happening in these introduced grassland and shrublands. And so I know at University of Hawaii, where I'm at base, I'm really trying to like ramp up the interest in these systems, because everyone, especially that come out to Hawaii, they want to do research, tend to focus on native ecosystems, and we're missing a lot of information in these grasslands where our big fire issues are. And so, at first, I think thinking about this area burn, I was like, are we going to have to sort of massage this to really push the point? But it kind of speaks for itself. If you look at the percentage of total land area burnt, so as a proportion of our total land area, U.S. total in the western states, so I got all this data from the National Interagency Fire Center numbers, and if you look at Hawaii, we're pretty much stacked up there with the western U.S., and those error bars, you can see that little skinny line there. The size of those error bars is kind of reflecting the fact that if you break this down by a year, again over that 2002 to 2011 time span, the black bars is the percentage of Hawaii's land area burnt on a given year, And you can see, you know, we're getting some pretty bad years there where we're way out of, you know, kind of off the charts as far as how much of our land area is burning. So this, I was pretty shocked actually to look at these numbers, and they really do speak for themselves. And again, it's kind of confirming what most people in the room here already know, but it's really a powerful tool to communicate this stuff to the public as well as the policy and decision makers. What else did I have here? But yeah, going back to, you know, and then we can also start making the case for what the driving factors of this are. So this is trying to look at the people. I just took the number of ignitions per island, and you just kind of plot that against the population per island, and you get this perfect kind of linear relationship. You know, it's like a correlation, really, really strong correlation. So Oahu, again, is out there off the charts as far as the number of ignitions, total number of ignitions over this time span. And then the less populated islands, you can see kind of down at the lower end there. So definitely, it's a human issue that we all know. And then flammable landscapes. So the idea, again, this is what I like showing these slides to researchers in particular, that, you know, almost a quarter of the state land area is covered by these non-native grasslands. So it's just a huge, huge area that we're kind of need to think about a bit more. And I kind of got into fire through working in tropical savannas and grasslands and continental systems, and I've seen lots of grass fires, but I've never seen anything like guinea grass. And I think I'd argue, I don't know if anyone's really seen fires like this anywhere in the world, and I tried to look at fine fuel loads from guinea grass. So studies have been done in guinea grass and fountain grass, and then compare that to some of the measurements that are out there in these continental systems that have experienced frequent fires. And I apologize, it's in metric, but so that sort of guinea grass average value is about just about 9 tons per acre, but that's ranging from like 5 tons per acre to over 20 tons per acre in some of these sites that they've measured. Fountain grass, again, I mean, we're just looking at these conditions that are sort of not really precedented elsewhere. So it's a really kind of interesting and sort of concerning problem. And then, of course, climate change. So we can look at these trends. There's a lot of good science coming out of UH in particular, and what I've been trying to do is kind of insert myself in the conversations. People are looking at these broader trends and really thinking about how this is going to change the fire situation here. So I think that's it for me. Appreciate the time, and I appreciate Wayne inviting us to present these data, so thank you.